Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is Pamela, and you are watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television series, and incidents in pop culture just to see how those incidents affect our daily lives. Listen, we are here, we are back. We are back for what? The season finale of Bel Air, season 2, episode 10, entitled Don't Look Back. If you all like what you're seeing, please consider supporting the channel. If you support the channel, just hit that thumbs up button. Also, if you really and truly want to see more of what I'm doing, please hit the subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, you'll be opened up to a plethora of playlists of all the movies and television series that I have reviewed and the pop culture chats that I do. All right. Well, we have come to the end, and if I don't seem so excited, well, I'm not. There was really not that much big buildup to the end. This was, I will say, this is a more lackluster season. It didn't have the explosiveness uh, as last season, and I am understanding from one of my subscribers that the showrunner has changed. So that does change the tempo and it changes the pace of what's going on. And definitely you can tell. I'm not going to hold you. Definitely, you can tell that this is just pretty much a very lackluster season. Uh, was it a bad season? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we were able to get with the Banks family and delve into issues for a couple of folks. And we missed the mark on a couple of people. But it looks like if this show is picked up for a third season, there is some meat on the bone. And we can definitely take that bone with that meat on it, drop it in a bucket of water, put some seasoning in there, and make us a good stew or a soup or something, or use it to make a good hearty stock for the next season. Because we left this season off with some just with a good little amount of meat on the bone. So you remember my last episode, I kind of did a little quick review of the season, and I was like, they gave us things, and I wish that they had given us an arc of that, maybe like 1 or 2, 3 episodes of the season and keep moving on. However, I spoke too soon. So let's get with we usually start off with the kids, but the kids had a lot more stuff going on today. The adults didn't have as much stuff going on. So let's start off with the adults and then move over to the children. So we see that Uncle Phil has convinced his law firm to take the agreement that instead of just him coming, that he be like a satellite office and he'll just rebuild his whole office, with new attorneys, new clients and stuff like that. He'll build that whole office up, and he's going to start, him and Jeffrey are going to be working in the office, and I'm not sure if Erica is going to be working in the office, but anyway, him and Jeffrey are kind of working in it because they've got their the office, and so they're just trying to get everything in and making sure, I guess they're hiring people and furniture and all kinds of stuff like that. So here bounces in Erica. Now, Erica comes in all excited and stuff like that. And Jeffrey knows what's up. He sees what's up. So he kind of comes in to let Uncle Phil know, hey, I'm here. And so Uncle Phil is like, okay. Because that's that thing about men. Men think they got it until they don't. They don't understand the manipulation tactics of some women. And she is one of those women that, you remember I had spoken maybe a couple episodes ago. I briefly touched on it this last review, and I'll touch on it again. She is one of those women that wants what she wants, even if it belongs to somebody else. And she has no shame about going to get it, because in her head, what's the worst that can happen? I'm found out. Okay. So, she's one of them kind of gals. So she's talking to Uncle Phil, and she's, congratulating him and, building up his little ego, and then comes in and gives him a hug, and then makes sure she kisses him on the lips. for my male followers, please understand, at that point, you in for the okey doke. And especially if you're someone in the position of Uncle Phil, and if you're in the position that you have a wife and some children and some assets, that is the okey doke. Please make sure this. I'll give you this thing, and I know it may sound rude, it may sound this, but I just think that it needs to. You need to make sure that when they do that, that you are no longer in a situation where you're private with her. Number two, once you're in a public setting, you need to make sure that you say it as loud as you can for her to leave you alone. Be very stern, be very firm, look her in the eye, and continue to say it, because see, that type of woman's gonna be like, I don't know what you're talking about. That's not me. I don't know what you're talking about. And also make sure you tell your wife what's going on. I know a lot of y'all guys look at that and think, oh, your ego says, I'm still the man. I'm still the man. Remember what I told you. When you're in those types of positions, when you are married with children and you have employment, excuse yourself from the position and do what I just told you to do. Okay. Anyway, let's move on. Jeffrey comes to Uncle Phil and he tells him basically, hey, do you want me to handle it? Look, and Uncle Phil's like, oh, I know how to handle her. I'll be able to do this. I know how to handle this. No, you don't. Just like Jeffrey did what he needed to do with Carlton, Jeffrey, I think you need to do what you need to do with Uncle Phil, because Uncle Phil thinks he knows what to do, but he's not realizing the stakes that are about to be done. So also with the adults, Vivian meets with Janet. And, Janet is upset because she has figured out and found out that she is supposed to be replaced, and she don't want to be replaced. She wants to be able to stay in and do that. She says she's worked too hard for that position and it shouldn't be just taken away from her, and that she will fight Vivian. She will get out in the press and badmouth her and fight. And Vivian basically just told her this: look, you can do that, but you and I both know there's a time. There's time for a change. You can sit up here and promote this narrative and the stereotype that they think of us already, that black folks tear each other down and they want to do all those things, or you can go out gracious, because regardless, you're out. Everyone has said that you're out, so you can make us both look bad, and then they replace us both, or you can go out with some dignity. Get your stuff together, go out with some dignity, and go visit with your grandbabies in Detroit and New York, or wherever she said them grandbabies were. And she kind of just talked to her, which made sense, because regardless of what she did and how much she made a big fuss, she was going to be out. They were already talking about getting rid of her. So either they replaced her with Vivian, or they were going to replace her with somebody else. So Aunt Viv had to make a decision. I mean, not Aunt Viv, but Janet had to make a decision. So this probably will be the end of old Aunt Viv on the show. All right. Let's get into the children. So remember the last episode, we saw Hillary decided to go back to old Lamarcus. And she went back with old Lamarcus. And when she went back with old Lamarcus, they woke up the next morning, speaking parlez-vous français. And Lamarcus had this great idea that since, he is, I guess it's a bye week or something like that, he's not working or anything like that, that they should go to France and spend a few days in France. He can get the private jet up together, and they can use their French-speaking skills in France. And she's feeling some kind of way about it, but she tells him, give me some time to think about it. She goes home and she talks to her parents about it. Now, let me preface this. Before she talked to her parents, and I neglected to say this about the adults. Viv was talking to Phil about what was going on with Janet. And she was just wanting him to support, what she was talking about. And Uncle Phil, being Uncle Phil, is like, if this is too stressful for you, if you feel like it's something, then maybe you need to, maybe you just let it go, pull out. And that made up Viv's upset, because you remember last season, that was a big issue she had when she started this whole process, is the fact that, when her art started to get to her, when she hit that wall, instead of encouraging her to continue through the wall, he just, he convinced her, and she was defeated, and she was willing to do it, to stop. And then before she knew it, she blinked and 10, 15 years had passed by. And so she got upset with him, because she was saying, I needed you just to listen to me and to encourage me through, not try to make me quit. Or, she says, I encourage you all the time to get you to go say, I just for once want reciprocity on that. Don't see anything on it. But Uncle Phil doesn't understand. Like I said, he's in that mode. He's doing what he's supposed to do. So it is difficult for him to see that, because he's like, I want you to be okay. And if things stressing you out, I don't want it to stress you out. But, that's just how things go. Different personalities, people want what they want. So now you get that little tension. And so when they're talking with Hillary is conflicted, because she doesn't know whether or not she should go with LaMarcus or should she stay with Jazz. And her father is like, if you got a good man that is willing to, to provide for you and all this other stuff, and he's a good, decent guy, there's no reason for you to let that go. The mom says, no, that's no reason to do that too. But you got to make sure you're doing it for the right reasons. You're doing it. And don't let anybody convince you to do something just because it's safe. So Uncle Phil and Aunt Viv are actually fighting amongst each other, but it's so funny to see them do that. And Hillary's, and they're just not even answering poor Hillary's question. So Hillary is having to kind of figure this out for herself, but honey, she's still packing. So a few hours go by, and Hillary is still packing. And Jazz meets up with Will at the Founders Award. And he knows that Hillary is going to France and everything like that. And so Will tells him, look, she's still packing. The plane doesn't leave for a couple of hours. So if you want to talk to her, if you're wanting to talk with her, if you're wanting to state your case, you need to go on over there and figure that out and go over there. And that's what he did. And he talks with Hillary. He goes to the influencer house. He talks to Hillary, and Hillary just laid it out. She says, look, you and I were together, but you were trying to make me feel like who I wasn't good enough for you. You always found flaws in me. Either I was too materialistic, I was too stuck on myself, I was this and stuff like that. And Jazz was trying to explain that she was a woman that he could have never dreamed of being with, and he felt a little insecure, and he thought that she was going to break up with him, and he thought that it would be best to break up with her before she broke up with him. And she told him, you don't understand. I was in my bed for 3 days because I was crying about the fact that you broke up with me, and I couldn't understand why. And she says, I don't ever want a man to make me feel like that again. And so he was like, he was, please, baby, please, baby, please. And she told him, well, I'll think about it. And so she left. He left. He gets a knock at the door, and you think it's Hillary knocking at the door. Child, it's the UPS man. Honey, Hillary done got on that plane, and she done went over there with LaMarcus, honey. She decided that she was going to live her best life. She, that heartbreak is something that she is not ready for or having, because she had those high expectations for that relationship, and it let her down. She knows what she's getting in with LaMarcus, so she's fine with getting in with the LaMarcus. Now, does she love him? I don't think so. Do I think this relationship's gonna I don't think it will, because she's going to be trying to go back and forth or do something with Jazz. Personally, I wish she would just leave both of them alone, because they both want her, and she is confused about what she wants. Well, she ain't confused about Jazz. She done left Jazz over at the house. But I am an advocate of not going from one relationship when your heart is broken over here and you haven't had enough time to go through the grief cycle and heal and get to a different level of healing, then move into another relationship. She's just going to move into this relationship with LaMarcus. So we will see how this goes. Let's get with Will. I will tell you, you remember I had talked about this little story arc with Doc and all of them. I was like, this don't make any sense. The stakes are not as big. And then I had to go back and look at it. The stakes were big. But because, and again, that could be just me and my bias, because I am not a big sports fan, because I don't understand that whole world, I didn't really understand it until Will got the other guys together about what is the situation going on with him in sports. So I will retract that. I will retract what I said, that it was, sorry about that, it was bigger stakes, but it was because that was a world that I was unfamiliar with. So therefore, I didn't think it meant so much. But then as I looked back at it, so let's talk about it. So we got Doc and we've got his former partner trying to derail his whole situation because because Doc won't do what the former partner wants him to do, which is to take money from drug dealers and all of these people like that to funnel it through the system. And Doc said that he wasn't going to do that. Well, he enlists, Uncle Phil wasn't going to help him with the situation. He had made a decision not to help him with the situation. Will asked him to listen to his friends because other guys that were playing, and Will had Uncle Phil to listen to the 3 players that were playing on the team and what was going on with them. And so when Uncle Phil heard that, because remember, Uncle Phil is from Yamacraw. So he's big on people doing what they need to do and taking advantage of the things that they can to get where they have to go. And he sees now that even though, again, Doc was scurrying across the rules, there was a reason for that, because he believed in these kids. He knows these kids are going to get him someplace. Yes, he's going to be taking a percentage, but they're going to be, even if they take a percentage, even though he's going to take a percentage, those young men are going to be at bigger and better places in life. So he is willing to do all of these things. So when Uncle Phil hears that, because here's the stakes. If the partner, the ex-partner, has his way, he's going to derail the whole situation. All because he wants folks to take some drug money. So busy thinking about himself. So they found out some information on old dude. They found out that him and two other friends had gotten into some problems with some drugs, and the 2 other friends went to jail, but he didn't. So basically what that means is SNITCH is he. Snitch, or just an informant. Anyway, so Uncle Phil, poses that. He says, so all these people that you trying to do all this business with, how they gonna react to the fact that you don't mind snitching on them for your own further gain? How's that gonna bear out in the hood? And he was like, oh, well, I'll be more than willing to take my chances with that. He says, oh, really? And then they started talking about some other things. He says, Doc is willing to give you this amount of money to cut you out of the deal. It's twice what you asked for. You just need to sign the papers, and you need to leave here and give up your stakes, because of the fact these kids need a chance. And that's basically what Doc wants. Like I said, Doc skirted, but he still was trying to get these kids a chance, and it worked out. Doc thanked Will. He went to the Founders Day event. He thanked Will for doing what he did and, getting everything together. So I do assume that Will is going to continue with Doc's program. That's fine. Also, too, Will has had a little level of maturity. He has gotten his old team back. He figured that since they were trying to get to the semifinals, they needed to scrimmage with really good players. So he decided to let Zenith and his Bel Air scrimmage together out on the court, in the basketball court. The coach of Bel Air says, hey, since you've done that, if you want to come back to the team, you can. Don't know if Will is going to do that. I personally don't think he should. I think he should stay with Doc because he has more avenues to get to be seen if he stays with Doc. Let's get to the Founders Award. So you have Carlton and you have Will up for the Founders Award. And Carlton's student advisor, her big hip tail, she is just so excited. You know, you were my person that I put up, and she always says we, and we're going to be going to bigger, better things, and we are going to be this, that, and the third. Because, you know, she's using Carlton as her step board to get to another position. And so it's always we, like she's speaking French. We this and we that. But what she doesn't know is Carlton is sniffing that cocaine, and has been for a long while. So before they go to the Founders Day, now, so we're talking about who? We talked about Hillary. We talked about the adults. Let me move, and we're talking about Will. But before we get into more deeply with Will, let's talk about Ashley. Because, you know, Ashley is my child that I feel like they have underutilized. So Ashley and old girl, apparently old girl has a rainbow pin, so she might be part of the community like Ashley is part of the community. So we may see some sparks or something maybe next year about that. I'm not sure. Maybe with the way the climate is today, they decided not to let that be part of a storyline, but we don't know. But regardless, even if you didn't talk about sexuality issues like that, there's so many things that middle school kids go through that we can definitely talk about. So the next part of Ashley, I want to wait until I start talking about Carlton. So let's get back to Will. Will and Lisa get back together, y'all. It was, you knew it was going to happen. It was anticlimactic. They get back together. But Drew is really, really, really working on trying to expose Carlton, trying to expose Will as the less than people to Lisa, and that he's better than them and she should be with him. She should allow herself to open up to be with him. But, you come across as lame, creepy, and sneaky and manipulative. Instead of you having the personality that you have to be able to get Lisa and court Lisa, just like Carlton did, just like Will did, you're trying to use negative things of them to make you look better in her eyes, and you don't look better. You look like a snake, an old creepy snake. Will breaks up with Jackie at the founders meeting because basically they weren't clicking to me. And like I said, there's something about the stakes with them. Now, it would have been nice to know why Lisa felt like she needed, not Lisa, but why Jackie felt like she needed to drink the way she did. Is there something going on? Because if this comes back for next season, I do see tension between Jackie, Will, and Lisa. That's just great. That's great tension to go into the senior year with. I see great tension with that. And also, I don't know if Peacock is even thinking about, because they're going into a summer break. It would have been great to have had a movie or an hour movie about them being in a summer break and things happening in the summer. So then when you all come back the next time, there would be something that with some more meat and potatoes in it for the summer. Anything that you wasn't able to put a little bit more meat on the bones in the season, you could have had this little arc thing, but we're not going to worry about that. So Will breaks up with Jackie, and Jackie's she don't look too happy about that. So let's get to the Founders Award. First of all, I will say that the Banks family walked up in there and they were clean. One more again, that whole family was clean. Everybody's style was represented. You know, Ashley is not that uh, girly type girl, so she had this really nice and conversational piece jumpsuit on. You know, Vivian, though that blue eyeshadow to me, uh, if it had just been a little, if it had a little bit more white in that blue, it would have been ugly. But that blue eyeshadow was nice. The color was just right, and backed up on that purple that she had on. Regal Uncle Phil looked good. Carlton and Will, that red against Will's skin. Oh, he was popping. Carlton looked good in that black. He looked very regal, James Bondish. Jeffrey, you know, when the Banks go out in public, they look good. And we ain't no need us lying about that. When the Banks go out into public, they look good. They go out into public, and Ashley, before they go, Ashley gives them like little cards. She says, "You all are my big brothers, and I'm so very, very proud of you. And it doesn't matter who wins, just know that I am really, really proud of you." And so they all accept the cards, and that's a wonderful thing. So now let's get to the Founders Day, because we go to Bel Air Academy. I guess they're having their the ceremony in the library, because the library looks like it's also a look like the library cafeteria was all in one, because you know in the cafeteria in some schools there's a stage there, so it looks like all of that was in one. So you see okay, the white guy Connor dropped out, so then you have Will and then you have Carlton that are up for the Founders Award. Mind you, Carlton has been snorting that cocaine that he gets from Connor all the time. Come to find out, that's not even the wording I want to use. Ashley catches him snorting. And then he tries to tell her, "Oh, it's just Xanax. It's supposed to keep me down," and stuff like that. And she was like, "No, that's not Xanax. That's not what that is." Why did Carlton yoke that baby up by her arm and scream in her face and told her that she should mind her own blankety blank business? Am I worried about Carlton? Absolutely. But you done pissed me off, because you ain't had no business putting your hands on that baby. She caught you red-handed. You ain't had no business putting your hand on that baby and scaring her like that. You were her big brother. You were supposed to protect her. You are not supposed to be the one causing her harm just because you done messed up. And honey, the way she scowled at him, because he won the award, and the way he scowled at her, that she scowled at him, and then he just looked really, really bad, because he's looking out there with Drew. Drew is calling him a fraud. He's looking over there at Connor. Connor is now his drug dealer, his pusher. He's looking over at his family, looking over at Ashley, and he sees that, you know, Ashley is very, very disappointed. And I'm sorry, I know Ashley's going to tell her mama or daddy or somebody, or will. Somebody she's about to tell about that situation. So he realizes that he's standing in front of everybody accepting this award, and he's a doggone fraud. And he tells everybody that he's a drug addict, that he's high now, and that he's sorry that he let everybody down, and all of this little situation, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Baby, them Banks go home, and mama and daddy have it ilt. You know, they talking about, you know, how long have you been using drugs? You've been using drugs for 3 years. All this other stuff. So Uncle Phil is going on. And then he, you know, Carlton tries to say, "Well, I know you're disappointed in me," and all this other stuff, and I'll just do that. So Uncle Phil's like, "I'm cutting his money off, because apparently you don't know how you getting money, you getting allowance, and you out here using drugs." Absolutely not. You know, Vivian is trying to do, he's like, "Nah." Uncle Phil's like, "Nah, we are out, we are no longer with these kid gloves, because he is an addict. What you want to do? You want to wait and see?" Because I think she said something about wait and see. And he was like, "What you mean wait and see?" You want to wait and see till he comes back out and he's using drugs and he gets kicked out of school? You want to wait and see until he messes around and gets some drugs that has something else mixed in it and he don't know nothing about and he ends up overdosing? Or do you want to wait and see until them same particular drugs that he don't know nothing about causes him his last breath? What do you want to wait and see? And she's like, well, he says, I am so sick of apologizing for giving y'all a good life. I'm sick of it. All right, Uncle Phil, I ain't mad at you. So Vivian, because you remember earlier, Vivian was upset because instead of encouraging her or giving her encouraging words about going after the award, she got upset with him for saying, hey, you don't have to do that if you don't want to. And so with those two folks, he's like, you two, basically, y'all get on my nerves. I give y'all what y'all want. I give y'all what y'all need. And then that ain't even good enough. I'm sick of apologizing for all this mess. And so Uncle Phil goes back in there in some kind of way. And I'm not sure if it was the beginning of the episode. I mean, the middle of the episode. But Erica texts Uncle Phil, says, hey, how about dinner? And at first, Uncle Phil was about to put no, but he's got Carlton going on through his head, and he's got and Viv going through his head. He tells her, sure. Now, gentlemen, you remember what I told y'all before? There is going to be some problems. There is about to be some problems. So the episode basically ends on that. It basically ended with Will because Will and Lisa are back together. The season, the year is almost over. They're going into the summer, and this is going to be Will's first summer in Bel Air. And so he's like, "Well, how is this going to work out?" And so that's when she was like, "Oh, you just wait and see." And so the actual Will Smith's and DJ Jazzy Jeff "Summertime" song comes on, and then it just fades out. And that was the end of this episode. That was the end of the season. What did y'all think? Like I said, I miss my bias made me miss the stakes that were being had for Will, because had that program gone down, Will would not have been eligible to play for a D1 school. Division I school. So those were the big stakes for him. For Hillary, I think that, like I said, she had, out of all the children, she had the most consistent storyline. I think it concluded the way it needed to conclude, so that we can have some tension for the next episode. I really do hope that they utilize Ashley a little bit more than what they do. I truly, truly do. I think that Ashley, again, and I just want them to utilize Ashley better than what they're utilizing her. Carlton, I think, is going to be in rehab on his senior year. I don't know exactly how all of this is going to work, but I do think that Carlton's going to be in rehab all through the summer. I do think that at this point, Carlton's going to have to reimagine what his life looks like without all the stressors. And I think that Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil have to start imagining his life without all those stressors. Let's see. Why did y'all let me forget about Jeffrey? Lord have mercy. You remember how I talked about that I wanted Jeffrey to have a little bit more stakes, but we've got some, because somebody is calling him and not saying anything, and they also sent him an envelope with him having dinner with his son. So now I wish that would have happened after he had met with his son. I wish that would have happened then. So this is a storyline that we can go into the next season with. Who is this stalking them? It's coming from East London. I say it's the boy's mama. That's who I say it is. I say it's the boy's mama. I think she got involved with some of them drug dealers over there, and I think that she has an ability to be able to see what's going on. That's just who I think it is. But anyway, this video has been much longer than I wanted it to be. Tell me what y'all think about this. Tell me what you thought about the season. Do you think that they will be greenlit for a third season? Y'all let me know in the comments. All right, people, we do this every week. All right, so my two shows which was Bel Air and The Mandalorian. They have both come to an end, so I'm going to be picking up some new shows, and haven't figured those two shows out. But do know that my new favorite reality show, because I'm not a big reality show girl, but I do like Young Famous in African. That's coming back next month, so I'm looking to pick that up, and that's on Netflix. I'm also watching on Epix or MGM Plus this show called From. If you all are watching anything like that, let me know. It's a little psychological kind of gory thriller. It's not that much. It's easily watchable on Saturday mornings if you are like me, a little scary about stuff like that. That's a show that I am watching. I've watched the whole first season, and I don't mind reviewing that season and then going into the second season. Again, I'm still checking out Kerry Washington's what is the name of that show? Let me see. I don't want to be on here long. Oh, Unprisoned, and it tells me it's a comedy. And I'm not very good about reviewing comedies. So I'll look at it and stuff like that, and then I'll just, it's a bingeable thing, and I'll watch it and maybe just give an overall thought of what I thought about it instead of an episode by episode. I think it's like 8 or 10, and that's something that I can do this weekend and look at it. But anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I appreciate it. And we do this every week, y'all. And as always, bye-bye.